This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English Teacher. All new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honeybee.
Fun time, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. This is 31 Days of Horror. Mars Needs Movies. Day number 3. I am your host, Precious D, and my guest today is the co-host of the Vintage RPG podcast and co-creator of 321 Action role-playing game and Zombie Brain Eaters role-playing game. It's my old buddy Hambone John Hambone McGuire. Welcome back to the show, John.
Hey man, I'm super stoked to be back. I'm always happy to hear from you this time. I mean, I'm always happy to hear from you any time of year, but around this time, I know we get to talk about some cool movies, so I'm pretty psyched.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. This year's theme is invasions, infiltrations, incursions, visitations from outer space. And you asked to do Invasion of the Bodysnatchers, the second of 4 adaptations from 1978. So why did you want to do this one in particular?
Well, it was actually the first Invasion of the Bodysnatchers I ever really saw. You know, I grew up watching old movies. I grew up watching old black and white movies, but I think when I was little, the idea of Invasion of the Bodysnatchers, maybe like my grandma or grandpa told me it was gonna be too scary for me to watch, so I didn't watch it. Like I saw them, but Invasion of the Bodysnatchers was like too much, you know? Fast forward to, getting a little older, early teens maybe. We didn't have cable growing up in my house. My mom was staunchly against it. She thought we'd see MTV one time and it would warp our fragile little minds, but we just had the whole rest of the world to do that, and being able to kind of, ride your bike anywhere you wanted and just, make sure you're home by the time the lights come on. So they were showing it on either Fox 5 or WPX Channel 11, one of the two. The first time I saw it, Donald Sutherland, of course, they lots of things they had to cut out of the movie. But, I was blown away by it because at that point, I'd seen a lot of movies. I've seen a lot of movies with actually punchable monsters.
Mm-hmm.
But Invasion of the Bodysnatchers, they just kind of roll in here and it's all over but the shouting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, as I said, there's a couple of different general types of alien invasion movies, and this one I would say starts as an infiltration but results in a successful invasion. So good for them, I guess. They pulled it off.
It was so interesting too because having watched it for the first time on regular TV, back in it, like there's no rewind, no pausing, no like, oh, let me go on demand and start this over. Like when I had come into it for the first time, it was just they're being replaced by pod people. Like I never saw like the first 5 minutes, which really it becomes a completely different movie if you miss that first 5 minutes. Basically, for you, dear listener, it's about this alien species that are almost kind of like, amoebas or space amoebas or like space snot or whatever, that flee from their world that's been ravaged and their dying world, and they come to Earth and they just assimilate all the people here and take over their forms and in so many words promise a better, more peaceful life, but really like they just take over the world quickly.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Before we get too much further, let's take a look at our cast here. It's Donald Sutherland as Matthew Bennell, Brooke Adams as Elizabeth Driscoll, Jeff Goldblum as Jack Belichick, Veronica Cartwright as Nancy Belichick, Leonard Nimoy as Dr. David Kibner, Art Hindle as Dr. Jeffrey Howell. Everybody's a freaking doctor in this movie. Leela Goldani as Catherine Hendley, Kevin McCarthy as Running Man. That is a cameo. He is the star of the original film version. Don Siegel, who is the director of the original film version, as a taxi driver. Tom Luddy as Ted Hendley, Stan Ritchie as Stan, David Fisher as Mr. Gianni, Tom Dahlgren as Detective, Gary Goodrow as Bocardo, Jeffrey Walter as Henri, and Maurice Argent as Chef. Also, the director Phil Kaufman's wife, Rose, was in the party scene, and Robert Duvall appears as an uncredited role as the priest on the swing.
And that throws you as well. Like going back rewatching today,
yeah.
I was like, "Wow, Robert Duvall was in this."
Yeah,
And it's just like, and literally, the shot he's in, you see him on the swing, and he's on the swing. You see him maybe for 20 seconds in the background, and then you see his point of view as the children are picking flowers, and that is the last that you see of Robert Duvall.
I did notice him being very creepy, but I don't think I realized that it was Robert Duvall. I did write down creepy priest as one of my notes.
Yeah, and also, how do you cut Robert Duvall of all things? Like,
he might, you never know with that. He might have just been hanging out. He might have been working on something else with someone else involved. He was friends with somebody. I don't know.
You want
this
to
is
lunch
the
be a priest? Okay.
right. This is the 1978 version. It's 115 minutes in color. The box office was 24.9 million, but nowhere on Wikipedia does it tell me what the budget was. But there's no mention of it being a flop, so I assume that it did okay.
Could not possibly have cost much.
Yeah. The other versions were 1956, of course. Then there's a 1993 version called just The Bodysnatchers, which is the title of the original book. And 2007 film The Invasion is based on this, which I don't think I realized. And it also inspired The Faculty and something called Assimilate, which I have not seen.
Oh yeah, I mean you definitely see The Faculty rewatching this for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's aliens taking on human forms. So really any movie where the aliens are taking on human form or either duplicating or infesting humans is definitely inspired by this. Although the Puppet Masters by Heinlein actually came out, the book of that came out before Bodysnatchers, so that's also an inspiration for that idea. And those ones, the aliens attach themselves to the top of the spine, and they're puppet masters. They drive you around. They drive the humans around. So yeah, it's based on a novel by Jack Finney that was published in 1955, but the novel is set in 1976, which I thought was weird because it has no bearing on the plot. I don't know why he chose that other than, well, it's a thing that hasn't happened yet, so I got to set it in the future. I don't know.
Well, it's
no
interesting though that you say that, because so one of the things with this one, Kaufman, who directed the movie, was friendly with the director of the original, and the original ending was supposed to be McCarthy running off screaming like, "Why won't anyone listen to me? Why won't anyone listen to me?" But the studio was like, "Nope, this is gonna happen. Truck's gonna crash. The feds are gonna get called. We're giving them like a quasi happy ending, right?"
Yeah.
So the fact that this was 1976, essentially the same time frame as
Yeah.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers 1978 made the cameo so much more poignant because they essentially give you the ending that they originally wanted to shoot, the bleak, dark ending
Yeah.
for the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers in a very brief cameo that I thought was amazing this afternoon when I was rewatching it again. But now that I know that the original one was set in 1976, holy crap. That
Yeah.
has to be like one of the first times they've ever done something like that in a movie, right?
Yeah. Well, the book is set in 76. I don't know that the movie says it's, I haven't rewatched the original yet. So I don't know if the movie says what year it's happening in, but yeah, the book is in 76. But then he doesn't do any sort of speculation about technological advances or anything like that, like you
Right.
would normally do if you're putting something in the far distant future of 1976. So yeah, I'm not clear why he did that. Well, the book, however, I just listened to the audiobook today, which is read by the son of the director of the original movie.
No
And
kidding.
there's a little chat with him about that at the end. If you have an Audible membership, ladies and gentlemen, it is included for free with your Audible membership. But the book has a more optimistic ending than either version. And I think than any of the film versions. I don't remember how the invasion ended, but in the book, the aliens, the pods, basically give up and leave because they're getting too much resistance. And I think the book is also less. Although the director says he wasn't trying to make a political movie, he wasn't trying to make a metaphor about either McCarthyism or communism, but that's how it's often been read. But the book is much more just science fiction-y. What if this happened? Although there is an idea in there that these spores and pods go from planet to planet, just using everything up, and then they move on to the next one. And that they've done this to Mars and to our moon already, and to who knows how many other planets. But they're getting too much resistance on Earth, so they just take off. They just float away into the sky to go fuck over some other planet. So that's much more optimistic ending than any of the movie versions.
Yeah, I'd say.
Let's see, what other notes do I have here? I wrote down two of the books that were mentioned: Worlds in Collision and Star Maker by Olaf Stapleton. Someone to go check those out. I kept writing Nimoy is useless, but I think he got assimilated much earlier than he may have been one of them all along, like in the first scene that we see him.
It's interesting that you say that. I was actually talking to a friend of mine today about it. I texted him. He's like, did you notice anything that you haven't noticed before? And I think that Invasion of the Body Snatchers is one of those unique movies where, not saying that it's high on rewatch value just because it's going to be your favorite movie, and you're going to know every line and whatever. But it is one of those movies that when you look back at it, you're like, huh, you start making more connections now that you know what the finish is. As you go, you start to see things like a little bit differently. So I definitely think that we were talking about that today, my friend Ian and I. I think by the time we had already met Nimoy at the party, he was assimilated.
Yeah. He's already trying to talk somebody out of her delusion, her so-called delusion.
Yeah.
That, folks, if you, some of you still don't have any idea what's going on because you've never seen this, we spoil all the movies on here. You should know that by now. These spores from outer space come. They make little flowers that then grow into larger pods, and these pods duplicate humans while they're sleeping near them. And in the book, they can do this to other life forms as well. And in fact, they even do it to a tin can and an axe handle when they first land. They're just duplicating whatever's close to them. And the duplicate has all of your memories and to an extent your personality, but there's just something off so that the people close to them tend to notice and think, I know that looks exactly like my husband or my wife and sounds like him or her, but that's not them. That's something has happened. And of course they don't have an explanation for it and they can't prove anything because they duplicate them down to the scars and things like that. And so people are starting to report this problem, and Leonard Nimoy is playing a famous psychiatrist, and he's at a party, and some woman is freaking out about, that's not my husband, and he's just trying to talk her down. And all through the movie, when they're trying to convince him what's going on, he keeps naysaying and being Mr. Reasonable. But then it's revealed later on that he's one of them, and he's after he says, okay, I believe you, then he goes and gets in a car with other people that we know have been turned, and is like, all right, sooner than later, we need to.
I think it's a numbers game for them. Right? I mean, because he was, he spends most of the movie just gaslighting the shit out of everybody. But I think that when you look at certain characters and their behaviors after they've been assimilated, and they're showing their personalities and they're still kind of in control, I think it's more so that for the alien invader is like, well, I can't let the mask slip yet because there's more of them than there are of me. But as the movie goes on and you see more and more people becoming just fully assimilated, everyone's just like, yeah, we're all not nice, and now you're gonna pay.
Yeah. And at one point, they are bussing children in to duplicate. They're bringing them in, telling them they're on a field trip to the city, but they're bringing them in someplace where they got a bunch of pods waiting for them. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, man. I also think that there's a certain hive mindedness to them as well, and I think, and again, I could have misseen this, but I think that Nimoy started drugging them earlier on. Like when he was first kind of coming over, he's pouring them drinks, they're drinking the water.
Yeah.
And then you have Donald Sutherland going to make calls, and like they're like, "Oh, hey, Mister Whatever, we know." And he's like, "How do you know? Like, how do you know it's me?" Like, and they just kind of suddenly knew. And I think that there was a certain degree of a hive mind going on, and he was changing earlier in the movie than we thought.
Yeah. We straight up gives a lady a sleeping pill at one point, and that's the last thing you want to do is fall asleep around these things, because that's when they get you.
Yeah, and then he's in the thing is like, the lady's like, "Oh, take this," and she's like, "What is it?" He's like, she's like, "It's speed." How many are you supposed to take? One. He's like, "Take 5." Like, they're popping speed to try to stay awake.
Now, if the original film was about, even though it's not about, but interpreted as being about either communism or McCarthyism, this one is maybe about the death of the counterculture, the death of the hippie. Donald Sutherland and his not girlfriend both kind of seem like ex-hippies.
I mean, it also does take place in San Francisco, which is hippie central USA at the time.
Yeah, so they're all slowly, one by one, selling out.
Yeah,
and just becoming the man, joining the crowd. And I think that might be what it's about. They're both about, and the book, it's about conformity, whether that's conformity to McCarthyism or communism or capitalism or whatever. It's just giving up your individuality and joining the group. And that's generally considered a bad thing, though the aliens are like, it's not going to hurt. You'll be fine afterwards. There's also definitely in the book, but also in these movie versions, a lack of emotion once they've been turned. They have all their memories, they have the personality, but they don't have the emotion. They don't feel anything, which could mean, okay, there's going to be no more war, there's going to be no more crime, no more starvation or anything. But is it worth it? In the book, it's not, because these things are only going to last 5 years, and then they're going to die, and they're going to leave just a devastated world behind them, and they're going to shoot their spores off into space and go on to fuck up the next planet. So definitely not worth it in the book. Probably not worth it in any of the other versions. So there you go. Another note I wrote here was "become gay?" ? There was a point when, I can't remember if it was Donald Sutherland or Leonard Nimoy, but they were talking about her boy. Was she married to him? Or no, he was just her boyfriend, Jeffrey.
Yeah, no, they were just together. They were.
they were talking about Jeffrey changing, and that, well, maybe he's doing this, or maybe he's doing that, or maybe he became gay, or maybe, and I'm like, what, became gay? Just,
I mean, they had some certain notions back in the 70s, man.
yeah. So the idea, I mean, yeah, certainly there's instances where someone's been hiding that and has purposely created a cover situation, but the idea that it wasn't a cover and then they just became gay is, yes, a very outdated idea.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see some of the parallels, again, between the books and the movies, McCarthyism, essentially like the loss, the post-war loss of innocence when like the summer of love ended, where everything and everyone ended up. And you're right, like people who went from being, hippies and fighting against the things, now you are a health inspector. Now you're just kind of you're working for the man. And
Yeah.
the almost sterilization of a place like San Francisco after the fact, where you did have places like Haight and Ashbury. You did have a very large, passionate counterculture movement. And then you get to this movie and you see it, and it's not too far removed from, the late 60s, very early 70s. And yet it's completely like sterile. The colors are all muted. It's very noirish in a way.
Well, Donald is in a trench coat through a lot of the movie, so
Yeah.
There's your noir right there. I read that this was, casting Nimoy was an attempt to help him get out of his typecasting.
Oh, completely see that.
Then he was in Star Trek: The Motion Picture the very next year, so that didn't last very long.
No. And you know what? That was a hard thing for TV actors back then. I read an article, whenever My Cousin Vinny came out, long ago. And it was Fred Gwynn doing an interview being like, yeah, he's like, I'm so grateful to get movies and roles like this. And, even like the couple other things he did, Pat Sarandon or whatever, he's like, because no one wants to cast me because all they see is Herman Munster.
Yeah. And the more specific the part, when it's something like Herman Munster or Mr. Spock, not just I played a cop on TV or I played a doctor, but when you're playing something that specific, it's really hard to get out of.
Yeah, and especially back then, because there was you had what limited media you had, or we all had access to, So it's not like, oh yeah, like that he did some streaming show, or he did this, or he did that, or the other thing, or like Quentin Tarantino was like, I want to be your friend, I'm going to put you in my movie. Can I see your feet? Like, that shit didn't exist. It was either you were on TV or you weren't on TV. You were in the movies, or you weren't in the movies. Like, no half measures, and also like no major convention scene for these people to make money like they do now.
Yeah. Pet Sematary was another big one for him.
Yeah,
part of his comeback and playing something a little different. So there we go. Well, Jonathan, anything else you want to say before we wrap up here?
Nah, man. I really recommend everyone watch it.
You can watch it on HBO, by the way, if you don't have.
And that's where I watch it. I watch it on HBO Max. Yeah, you know what, man? I think that there's a certain importance to going back and watching these older movies, and maybe if it's something that's outside of your comfort zone, outside of your warehouse, not the kind of monster you like, for no other reason than just to see like a story that really set so many other, like, granted, I think that to a very high degree, the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers was a very important movie. And for that type of story, I think if you look at the 1978 one specifically, and you look at a lot of things that have happened in, the cultural lexicon sense, when it comes to like stories, comics, movies, and books, especially with younger writers who are really prevalent now, like that was the one that, you could trace those steps back like a family circus Jeffrey map,
No one should have to choose between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Purina is helping to create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters through the Purple Leash Project, so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
Now, the original is going to be a little harder to find. It's on MGM Plus, which nobody has.
No, yeah, that's.
Bodysnatchers is on Tubi, which everybody should have if they don't.
Oh yeah.
Tubi's the freaking best. Let's see where the Invasion is not streaming free. You got to pay for that shit.
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman ain't cheap. So there you go.
Hey man, they probably paid. That's probably why they're still showing those Nicole Kidman. We come to this place. They probably paid a pretty penny for those.
Now, John, are you working on anything right now? You got any Kickstarters coming up or anything?
Yeah, actually, I don't know when this episode is going to air, but on October 14th, Ham and Egg Publishing, we started working on some stuff outside of 321 RPG. We started doing some third-party publications. So by the time this airs, I probably will have delivered the books or have them in the mail, at least for Days of Future Fairhaven, third-party adventure for Weird Heroes Public Access. Mm-hmm. And then we are launching on October 14th a adventure called Under the Shadow of the Noonday Witch, a third-party adventure for Sickest Witch RPG, which is Justin from Severed Books. It's a Borg-esque style adventure. Very, very right over the plate role-playing with a really, really exceptional story being written by Sally Canarino and Gio Colazzo, and I'm just along for the ride on this one, but we're going to be launching that on October 14th.
Okay, well, that's very fitting for October. Sickest Witch is one of the few I don't have. I do remember you guys talking about it on the Vintage RPG podcast, so I might have to look into that because I've got everything else you've done.
It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, I think I got in on that public access one too.
Awesome.
I know I backed the hardback for the rule book. I'm pretty sure I jumped in on your contribution. Well, folks, you can find links to all of John's stuff in the show notes and on his little guest page on mmftg.com. We'll be back tomorrow with another one of these. We're here all month. If you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe and rate and review, and check out all our stuff on mmftg.com. Until next time, I have been Precious D. My guest has been John Hambone McGuire, and remember to keep watching the skies. You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please consider rating and reviewing us on your podcasting platform of choice. You can leave us a message and find links to all our things at mmftg.com.